It really breaks my heart to have to talk about this. I really enjoyed the first Shazam movie. It's one of the few things I think that they really got right during the DCEU. You know, I was able to watch it with my now 7-year-old son, probably 5 at the time when we actually got to see it. He just loved the movie and I liked it. It had a really good spirit about it. It felt like one of the few DCEU movies that was really fully realized. And it felt like a really good interpretation of the hero. I know a lot of people like Wonder Woman. I like that movie as well, but the first 15 minutes and the last 25 minutes of that movie absolutely suck, and it kind of brings it down. And unfortunately, it turns out the sequel, Shazam Fury of the Gods, just was not a big success at the box office this weekend. Not domestically, not overseas, not nothing. This is probably the last time we're going to see this version of the character. I don't know that Shazam is going to be a big, important character for James Gunn and the DCU moving forward, but it also calls into question the future of these films that are kind of left over waiting to be released while we're waiting to get the Superman Legacy, which is going to be the true beginning of the DCU. DC and New Line Cinema's Shazam Fury of the Gods opened to a dismal $30.5 million domestically, well behind the $53.5 million domestic opening of the first Shazam movie in 2019, not adjusted for inflation. That's one of the worst starts for a major Hollywood superhero film, as well as one of the worst for a title in the DC cinematic universe, including those released during the pandemic. The news was just as bad overseas, where Fury of the Gods opened to just $35 million from 78 markets, including bombing in China with just $4.4 million, for a worldwide start of $65.5 million. Fury of the Gods cost at least $110 million to produce before marketing. So it appears that this thing is absolutely going to flop, and they are going to lose money on Shazam Fury of the Gods. And, you know, I've heard from a few people that have watched it. They said if you like the first one, you'll definitely like the Shazam sequel. And that's good to hear. I'm still going to watch it with my kid and we're going to have a good time. But obviously, it just wasn't for everybody. I don't really know what they could have done to save this with the news of James Gunn DCU coming out and really starting with Superman Legacy. Why go out there and pay money for Shazam Fury of the Gods when you're like 95% certain that there's not going to be a third movie, and you're likely not going to see Zachary Levi play the role again as part of an ensemble cast in maybe a bigger Justice League movie in the future. So maybe if you like the first film a lot, and it didn't matter to you if the character kept on, this was a movie to go to. But if you're invested in a shared cinematic universe, if you're invested in that shared superhero universe, this was probably going to be a big waste of time. Now, this does call into question the fates of Aquaman 2 and this Flash movie, which Warner Brothers Discovery are absolutely behind. They're going to put a lot of marketing muscle, especially into the Flash movie, because we have heard David Zaslav, CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery, has seen the film. He's very high on it, and he feels like they have a winner there that can probably make a lot of money at the box office. And based on the reception to the trailer, we have to keep that in mind, that came out during the Super Bowl, that's probably the case. It's probably going to be more successful than a lot of people anticipated, even after all the nonsense surrounding Ezra Miller, the star of the Flash film. We've got a lot of cameos coming up. Obviously, Ben Affleck as Batman once again. Michael Keaton as Batman once again. We're going to get the first peek of this new Supergirl character. So I think a lot of people are still going to be interested in that, but it could absolutely bomb, especially if James Gunn, David Zaslav, Peter Safran don't go out there and let people know you might need to watch this movie to get ready for Superman Legacy. They probably need to build something in to connect the two. This being a multiverse ending type of event, a Flashpoint type of event, moving us actually into the new DCU. That is probably going to be the best way to sell this film outside of all those big fan servicey moments and cameos. I think Aquaman 2 might just be dead, which is absolutely insane when you think that the Jason Momoa-led film went over $1 billion worldwide at the box office. It was an enormous hit that no one really saw coming. I mean, I think people thought maybe Aquaman, you know, if it did well, it hit 600 million or something like that, which would have been a real success. But going over $1 billion worldwide really puts a lot of stress on the sequel and the filmmakers to kind of go and re-achieve that success. And now they've got something that's incentivizing people not to invest in the movie and watch the sequel, because it likely has no bearing on the future of the DCU itself. We've heard multiple times from multiple sources that Jason Momoa, who's going to play Aquaman, is actually going to play Lobo in James Gunn DCU. So why go and see the film? Not to mention the fact that we've heard from a lot of behind-the-scenes sources that the test screenings haven't gone well. Plus, it sounds like they might have just gotten rid of Amber Heard altogether and just reshot everything without her. So Mira might not even be in the sequel. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? It sounds like the production has not been going very smoothly, and now you have a new obstacle which appears to have absolutely sunk Shazam. Fury of the Gods is the 12th installment in the DC Extended Universe, and the first to be released since Warner Brothers Discovery chief David Zaslav tapped James Gunn and Shazam franchise producer Peter Safran to run DC Studios and engineer a complete overhaul. Fury of the Gods also comes as the future of the DC characters and actors introduced before Gunn and Safran's takeover hangs in the balance. Shazam star Zachary Levi addressed his future at Tuesday's Hollywood premiere, telling The Hollywood Reporter, "I'm very happy with this movie. I hope it's not my last." This is another thing that's probably going to tick a lot of people off, is that the star of Shazam doesn't even know if he's going to be playing the character again. Does he not have a contract? Did it not get renewed? Was he not told behind the scenes, hey, if this movie does well, maybe we'll bring you back? Has he been told he's not coming back? There's really a lot of uncertainty when it comes to the stars of the DCEU and their transition over to the DCU. It really sounds like James Gunn is playing favorites. Yes, his wife is returning. John Cena, who he directed in The Suicide Squad and in the Peacemaker show, is returning. And we know Amanda Waller is returning, but Henry Cavill isn't returning. Sounds like Ben Affleck isn't returning. Jason Momoa is returning, but he's not going to be Aquaman. This is actually going to cause a lot of contention and maybe give a lot of people a reason not to invest in the DCU moving forward. If you're going to take some, but not all, that's going to piss some people off. A lot of people really like Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. A lot of people love the idea of Henry Cavill as Superman. And the fact that he's going to pick and choose certain actors to play the characters that they've already portrayed, but not all of them, it's going to leave a dirty feeling in a lot of people's minds, knowing that James Gunn is playing favorites in all this. He should have just done a clean slate and just recast everybody in every single role. I know a lot of people really enjoyed John Cena as Peacemaker, but is it really worth potentially pissing off people that liked Henry Cavill as Superman to bring the one actor that you've worked with on your project back, but not bring the bigger name actor that was in the bigger role that really seemed like a fan favorite for DCEU fans? I think it was a big miscalculation on the part of James Gunn and Peter Safran, but they are the co-CEOs, and I'm not surprised he did it. He's pretty much in charge. He gets to make all the rules, but unfortunately for James Gunn, in the end, it's the audience that's going to have the final say. And obviously, with the box office that we saw for Shazam, they said, hey, we don't want to go and pay for movies that really don't mean anything in the bigger scope of everything, because Superman Legacy is really the beginning of the DCU. And that's, I don't know, it's just something that's going to lead to a lot of resentment, in my opinion, especially when you get to fans of like the Snyderverse or whatever, and they're already pissed off about everything else. So he's got a lot of work ahead of him. One person who does not have any work ahead of him is the director of Shazam Fury of the Gods. David F. Sandberg tweeted a thread on March 20th about his experience making the film and his future projects. Quote, on Rotten Tomatoes, I just got my lowest critic score and my highest audience score on the same film. I wasn't expecting a repeat of the first movie critically, but I was still a little surprised because I think it's a good film. Oh well. As I've been saying for a while now, I'm definitely done with superheroes for now. Just to be clear, I don't regret even for a second making the Shazam movies. I've learned so much and gotten to work with some truly amazing people. Will forever be grateful that I got to direct 2 of these. They've been very challenging but valuable experiences. One thing I've really been looking forward to is disconnecting from the superhero discourse online. A lot of that stresses me out so much, and it will be nice not having to think about that anymore. Well, I think that kind of sucks. Like I said, I think Shazam was a great movie, and the director, David Sandberg, certainly had a lot to do with that. He was able to get some really great performances, especially out of the younger actors. He certainly had a flair for the dramatic, and he knew the character, and he was able to realize that on the big screen, which has been an enormous problem for the DCEU now that we're moving into the DCU. It kind of sucks that he leaves the project, with a little bit of a bitter taste in his mouth. Not only did the second movie not really succeed as much as he wanted to, but it sounds like the discourse got to him in the end anyway. But, if you're going to be getting paid millions of dollars to direct and write these movies, and David Sandberg, I'm certain, got paid millions of dollars to make these movies, it kind of comes with the territory nowadays. Just even having a YouTube channel, people are going to talk crap about you. If you're going to make a movie that potentially hundreds of thousands of people are actually going to go see, yeah, people are going to give you a little bit of crap. They're going to say stuff about you. And, it's just going to get a little bit not fun on social media, but you got to be able to manage that stuff. And it sounds like this is going to be a good break for him. He wants to go back and do some horror stuff once again. He's out of the superhero business, at least for now. And we also know Ben Affleck is out of the superhero business, at least with James Gunn's DCU. He doesn't want anything to do with it. In fact, he broke it all down and why he wants nothing to do with James Gunn's DCU, despite James Gunn pretty much stating he was going to direct a movie for him. If you haven't seen this, definitely check it out right now. There's also a link in the video description.